Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see you all. Welcome back to Adobe Live, where you can tune in for all of your creative inspiration. And we have guests from different creative fields each week. And today is day 2 of our UI UX live stream. So I'm back with Elizé Todd here. We're going to be here for 2 hours. Woo woo.
Whoop,
I'm your
whoop.
host, Andrea Hock. So welcome, everyone. Starting to see some of you guys pop up in the chat. We've got Anna, Vipin, Raphael. There's Paco. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. So we'll be checking the chat throughout the stream today. So if you have any questions for Elizé or myself, or we've also got some moderators in there, just let us know. So let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule since we've got a full day planned today. So let me make this a little bigger so I can see. So right now we are live with Elizé Todd for 2 hours. And then right after this at 2 p.m., we're going to do our XD Daily Creative Challenge with Jesse. So stay tuned for that. And towards the end of this stream, so the last 30 minutes, we're going to be doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge reviews. And then after that at 2:30 p.m., we'll have our sketch party with Kathleen. So full day planned, very busy, very exciting. And yeah, welcome everyone. Elizé, thanks so much for coming back. I'm glad you're here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you, for the folks that maybe weren't able to tune in yesterday, just give a little introduction about yourself and talk about maybe a little wrap up of what we did yesterday and what your plan is for today.
Yes. So hi, everyone. I see Julia came in and Howard. Hi, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Hi, I'm Elizé, and I am a product designer. I also teach XD at Adobe here. Here we go. At Adobe, at General Assembly, and at Springboard. And I also create content on YouTube and on Instagram. So yesterday, we went and did a quick prototype with a UI kit. So I'm going to run through a little bit of background on this case study that I'm working on and run you through what we did yesterday so you can all be up to speed. So we're talking about why do you want to use UI kits? Well, UI kits are great for numerous reasons, but especially for beginner designers who aren't that familiar with UI and maybe are really great with UX, but want to start to, grow in their skill set. So what I suggest for designers to do is to start using UI kits, and you can start to get an understanding of button sizing, of placement, and so forth. This is also really great if you already know and are great with UI design, but you want to burn through prototypes really quickly.
Yesterday, you were very quick yesterday, I gotta say.
Thanks, Andrea. We got 7 screens done in an hour. So It's really great to build quick prototypes because the purpose for that is to get it out there, start testing it out. So yesterday we did a redesign for Metro Bike. They offer bike services for people to just go out of their home, rent a bike, and go ahead and go out for the day and ride their bicycles. But they're looking to do a redesign for basically because we found that electric scooters are on the rise, like Bird and Uber and Lyft have their own electric scooter options. So now they want to start attracting that electric scooter commuter audience because they've seen such a decrease in their own subscriptions. So we've looked at the persona. The persona wants to lose weight and get healthier. So he wants to get off that commuter bike and onto a bicycle and start to lose weight. So what we did is I did a competitive analysis. I looked at Bird, I looked at the Metro Bike experience to see how are some ways that we can make the Metro Bike experience just as easy as the Bird experience. Because he's coming from a Bird, we want to make sure it feels super seamless. And so we don't have to worry about these docs and credit cards and all of this fluff that they add to the current biking experience. So I looked at inspiration. I was looking at workout apps. So how do these workout apps inspire people? How can we inspire our persona, Tom, to get fit?
I think that's such a great idea too, actually. You touched on this a little bit yesterday, not just looking at the other, scooter apps out there or the other bike apps out there, but since we want to focus on the fitness too, what are the fitness apps doing and why are the really popular ones doing so well? So It's a good tip for everyone in the chat.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at direct competitors, but also looking at inspiration or indirect competitors, because now maybe someone would rather have this app, a fitness app, and they would still use that app to lose weight. So it's actually an indirect competitor in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So then I did some exercises to start to unlock creativity. How are some ways that I can really create this personalized experience for him to help him lose weight? So I did this crazy 8 exercise. If you've never done one before, I highly suggest to do it. I do it for every single one of my projects.
That's awesome.
To unlock creativity and innovation. I do it for every time I teach a class, a new student. All the new students just love this exercise. So you do 8 sketches in 8 minutes to figure out like what are 8 ways to solve this problem, and to create this product that Tom, our persona, is going to really like. So some of the takeaways that came out for me is like I started to call the bike itself Rudy. That's going to be the new brand name instead of
cute. I love that.
Bike, right? And then talk to him every day, like, hey, you hit your goal this week. Great. These are the calories you burned, etc. So some of the ideas that came out of it. And then I did some sketches and understood the user flow. Like, okay, I want to understand every time I do a user flow, I want to understand the context of use. Where is he? What is his goal? So I understood that he is going to be at home. He's reserving his bike for 10 minutes from now, and he wants to just get on it and get on the road. So
awesome.
From there,
it's great seeing your behind the scenes. Like a lot of times you just see the end result, beautifully polished, just like all of your screens on Behance, but this is so great seeing all of your steps.
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw someone comment on the video from yesterday, like, I'm so glad we get to see more UX process and not just designs.
Yes,
so
totally.
Happy to talk more about that.
And I was looking on your Instagram too, and I'll put a link to Elizé's Instagram in the chat as well, but it has a lot of great tips, like she's sharing today. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. So yesterday, what I did was we took all of my sketches. So these are my initial sketches, which I'm going to call my low fidelity. You can see, like, you do not have to be a good drawer to create low-fi wireframes. And actually, in my classes, we test with low fidelity paper sketches. This is enough to start getting feedback from users. So this is great to begin with. If you can only get this far, that's great. But today, we're going to move on from that. So actually, yesterday we went and created high fidelity screens. So what I did was I downloaded a UI kit. I just searched on Google, Adobe XD workout UI kit. And I found one that I was like, ooh, I like it has the elements I need. Like it has a map, it has some like stats on here. This looks looking really good. Like
it actually had a lot of the icons you needed too as well. So that was perfect.
That was wild. I'm like, it has like every icon I need. Perfecto. So sometimes I'll do this with one UI kit, or sometimes I'll pull in 2 or 3 UI kits and I'll work off of a few. So
I didn't think about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So that might be something you guys would be interested in. If you want to download this UI kit, it's called Alu Fitness app, and it's free, completely free. There's so many free UI kits people put out there. You can just grab assets and start to like Frankenstein it to create your own design like I did here. So what I did is each one of these screens that I sketched out, I turned into a high fidelity screen by taking all the assets from the UI kit. All right. So I have 7 screens here. Now I don't want these kind of like, I want to put these next to each other now. They don't need to be side by side to my sketches. And what I want to do today is, there was some comments yesterday on, hey, like, well, what if this is like for a brand and I don't want to just use all the same colors and typography and make it look so similar to this UI kit that people can tell I used a UI kit, maybe.
Right.
You're going to be like, I want this to feel more like my own. Well, I'm going to show you that today, how you can take a UI kit. This is a great initial first pass, but then you're like, okay, I want to put like my company's branding on here and make it look like our own app.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that today. And then I'm also going to show how to prototype it really quickly, not doing anything fancy with my prototype, doing some auto animations. But again, today is all about speed, how to build quick prototypes. And for me, building quick prototypes it has a purpose of getting feedback, showing it to users, getting feedback. When you're showing it to users, you don't need to have any sort of fancy animations unless it's necessary to the user experience. That's what I preach. All right, so I'm going to say that I'm going to look for, yes, actually, I already decided. Sorry, guys. I was going to have you guys help me decide this, but I figured it might take too long. I decided I'm going to use Mint. Like, okay, let's say my company is. Oh, yeah? Okay, great. Because Mint has such a fun color, color gradient and so forth, and they have a really accessible type of typography, Avenir. So let's say Mint is the company you're working for, and you're like, okay, now I need to turn this UI kit into more of a Mint look and feel. Now, Mint is obviously doesn't have anything to do with bicycles or anything like that. It doesn't matter. We're just going to pretend like the company we work for is Mint, and they have this new app. So the purpose of this is to figure out, how do I make this look more like Mint and less like this new UI kit? And oftentimes, as a freelancer, I work with companies that do not have a style guide. They do not have already a component library. I'm not working with nothing besides the website that they have up. This happens.
I actually almost prefer that though, like, because then you have total creative freedom. You don't have to follow something super precisely. You can really do whatever you want.
That's true.
Pros and cons.
Definitely. There's definitely those positives to it. I agree. So how I am able to figure out the colors and the typography, this happened to me yesterday. Yesterday I was like looking to apply UI to a project I'm working on, and I just had to go on their website, and I used this little Google, what is this called? Google
is it like a plugin?
Plugin thing. Okay, it's called What Font. It's really hard to see for you guys because it's black on black on black. It's called What Font. You can see it up right here. And when I unlock that, and every time I hover, you can see it starts to say Avenir on there. If I select it, it'll give me a lot more information on that typeface.
Super helpful.
So color, it can give me weight, etc., size, blah, blah, blah. So now I know it's Avenir. Okay, that's an accessible font for me to use. So I'm going to use that. Now I can I'll start to click around, like, what is the body font looking like? Sometimes body is different. It looks like they just use Avenir. All right, so that'll be easy. Now, the other thing I do is I'll just take a screenshot of this because I'll want to just have this to compare to my new design. So I will screenshot it, which I already did, guys. So here are my screenshots so that I can start to pull in colors and just get an overall understanding of the look and feel that they have here.
You know, the thing I like about Mint's color scheme, at least, is that they don't use, well, there's a little bit of the super bright green, but pretty much if you go on Dribbble and you look for financial apps, it's all just super lime, bright green. They didn't do that. So I appreciate that from them.
That's true. That's true. It's like a variation. It's like a, what is it?
It's a nice teal color. Yeah.
Got a nice teal.
And for finances, I don't really want to be stressed out and have the colors screaming at me. You know, so that's nice. A little calmer.
It's calming. It's like, oh. Yeah. Even if it had $4, I'm like, I got money in the bank.
It's all right.
It's all good. So yesterday we pulled in the colors and the character styles from the UI kit.
And do you want to show, well, I guess you already have them, but for the folks that didn't see yesterday, do you want to at least maybe explain how you did that?
What that looks like. So if you want to just pull in typography and colors, just go ahead and drag and highlight all the elements here. And then you just literally click this plus button. Let me zoom in for you. This plus button, and it's going to pull in all the colors. And then if I do the same thing with the character styles over here, zoom in. I'll do that little plus button, and all those character styles are now populated over here.
Super fast.
Super quick.
Love that. Some other people in the chat are saying, giving some other examples of like the Chrome extension that you used. So there's one called What Font. There's, someone else missed the extension name. What was it called? Just like what?
It was called What Font.
Oh, that was the one. Okay. Yes, someone else is saying CSS Paper is another one.
Oh, cool.
Or CSS Peeper. So yeah.
Peeper. That's cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing those. Yeah, there's also ones for hex codes as well for colors that you can grab. But I usually just do the screenshots because I really like to look at it back and forth.
And I feel like the eyedropper is kind of quicker anyway.
I love the eyedropper.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it makes me happy every time I use that little eyedropper. All right, so we've already established that this main color here is the main CTA color we've been using over and over here. So ideally, at this point, we'll see if it works correctly. If I change this, it should reflect on all of the screens now. So this makes it really easy to update your UI and not get attached to colors initially. Because you're like, if I could just change the colors like real quick, why do I have to be so attached initially? Let's just get the screens done. Let's get moving here. So I'm going to change this color. I'm going to decide. I'm not sure if I want to change it to the gradient or if I want to change it to just the teal. Let's just try just the teal initially.
Although I don't know how you would change like one color to the gradient though. I wonder if that's possible.
That's true. Like if I edit this, I can change it to a
linear. You
can.
can. Okay.
Well, let's try it. Let's try linear.
I do love that gradient.
This one, I'm going to do eyedropper on this pretty bright, fun teal. And then I'm going to do eyedropper on this green. Did it work? Oh,
it did. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that color.
It's funny though, because like I'm not sure if I'm liking this gradient. I think I would prefer if the button was like this though.
Yeah.
With this kind of gradient here.
Gradients are hard on buttons.
Yeah, this should be the master component. Yeah, this is the master. So hopefully it's reflected here. Yeah. Yeah, here too. It's feeling a little, I don't like it so much. Yeah. I'm going to change. Actually,
it's funny how a gradient can like date something, because that to me, like if it goes from like 45 degrees, it seems more modern, but like the one you have on the far right, it seems a little like a few years ago, even though it's the same color, but it's just a different direction of the gradient.
Definitely. The direction makes a difference. I like this gradient here, but I don't know if I'm liking it here on this button. And I don't think I'm liking it here because it's like now overwhelming with these two gradients.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm going to I'm going to change this guy into just a solid teal like it is here.
And Dinu in the chat also said, if you don't want to use any plugins for that same What Font extension that you use, you could use Control or Command Shift C. It's cool.
Command Shift C.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, let me try it.
Teaching us something new.
Command Shift C. Oh, so you can
just
get into
inspect.
the inspect. Yeah.
It's a little harder to find that way though.
It works. Like I can see it here totally, but I think like as a designer, I'm like, ugh.
It's a little code.
I see too much code.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. I'm in the matrix. Yeah, that definitely works though. And I do use inspect sometimes just to see maybe like what a site is built on or something like that. But
I actually use it a lot. Well, not a lot, but sometimes to test responsiveness. Just like by like dragging the sides.
Yeah.
But other than that, not too much.
I use that too. Yeah. Okay. So I used this turquoise up here. I think I like that better. And here, I don't know. Let's try the CTA color they have here with this orange. It's not my favorite orange, but let's try it.
Yeah.
And
anyone in the chat has an opinion on this, let us know.
Yeah, let me know if you prefer the gradient or
I do like that they're orange CTA. Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I do like that their orange CTA there is pretty small. So I wonder if the orange for like the larger CTAs that we have will be a little too much, but we'll see.
Definitely won't use it for those. I
think okay. Just using it for the QR code.
Maybe for the QR code.
Then I think that's great.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's still pretty small.
Add that here. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like the orange or did you like the gradient blue?
I think the orange helps give your eyes somewhere to look like first, second, and third, as opposed to if it's both the gradient color, then I'm a little bit like, oh, where do I look first?
Yeah. Yeah, great. Tell me what you guys think too. Blue or orange? Let's move on. Well, we'll come back to that is what I mean. So I'm going to change I think I'm going to change these also to the teal. I like that. So that now, because I created this hamburger menu was a component, just changing that color now has reflected on all of them, right? So just making sure you have components and you have character styles and you use colors from the get-go. I know it's tedious. Like I didn't do it for a very long time. I was like, I'm so used to like fuddling around on the right-hand side of the property inspector. I just didn't want to mess with this new asset panel. But once I started to, it just made my life that much easier later down the road. So
for sure. Everyone in the chat now is saying orange for your QR code.
All right, guys, we're settled on orange.
Orange it is, I guess.
We are settled. So the other thing that you'll notice is the only thing that the color assets doesn't work for is like borders. So you have to go into individual elements and like change borders. So I'm doing that.
And also something to note is that you found this map element in the UI kit, which was really nice. I know a lot of you guys yesterday were sharing some places that you find like images of maps to use in your interfaces. One was like snazzy maps, I think, and you can even change the colors of like the roads and the streets and, you know, water and stuff, or if you want to have like the road names or hide those. So whoever shared that yesterday, thank you, because that was a good tip.
Okay, so I've started to fuss around with the colors. I feel like it's decent for now. Let's just move on to the typography. So it's going to be a little more interesting here. So they are using Avenir. So I'm just going to basically go into my character styles and my assets panel on the left-hand side here. And you can see everything says Poppins because that typography was called Poppins. And I'm going to just start changing all of these and editing them to Avenir. So hopefully this will all reflect. I don't think I even use a white typography, so I'm just going to delete that.
It's funny that they had so many different fonts.
It's crazy.
I mean, I personally tend to not use more than 4, just like out of personal preference, because I feel like things get too crazy after that. Yeah, there was a lot. There was quite a variety.
Well, I think because they had because they also apply a character style for like a variation of color too.
Oh, interesting.
So there's like the same 24, but in white and gray and bold and like, so I've always found that doing character styles can be sort of difficult. Like, should I make this a character style or not? Because I'm only sometimes, and it's just a slight variation off another one.
Yeah. I feel like it helps if they're super different. Like, definitely like H1, maybe body copy, and maybe like subtitles. But if you're really getting into the details, like, oh, these are all subtitles and this one's italic, this one's like a different color, then maybe not so much.
Yeah, I tend not to do too many variances, but then I find that later down the road, if I did make a change like this to where all the fonts are different, I have to go and find each individual.
Yeah, that's true.
Each individual one. So I'm like, I'm not sure. I haven't figured out the best method. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm happy to listen to that.
Dinu asked, how did you create the map image? Yeah, so that was just part of the UI kit that she downloaded. I believe it was from Behance. So not a plugin or anything, just...
Oh, wow, look, it changed this other design too.
Oh. The screen's looking a little wonky for me. I don't know. Do you see that?
Oh.
In the sharing?
Yeah, right here.
We'll try to fix that, but keep on designing.
Oh no. Let me try I can try my other screen here. Let's try something here. Oh.
We're just working on the technical difficulties here. Okay. One moment, we're just, let's see, I'm getting, you cannot start screen sharing while the other participants sharing. 1 second, folks.
Oh wait, can you see it now?
Okay, now it's fine.
Oh, I think I know what happened. Okay, sorry guys.
All good, sorry guys.
I think I know what happened, because sometimes when I zoom in with accessibility to zoom into these character styles for you to see, it can mess with I guess it makes that weird
like
screen
you're just
view.
doing command plus or minus on your keyboard?
It's option command plus or minus if you have your accessibility options open to like zoom into the side panels.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just all learning here during these different times, learning how to
we figure that out soon though, guys. Okay, so I changed all of the character styles now to Avenir. And now obviously what I would have to do is start to kind of just, maybe start to center align things, because that can like start to make things wonky. I can go into individual ones. Like this one I did not create a character style for, so I would have to go and like change these out. But it's starting to already look more like Avenir. To me feels clean and modern.
Yeah, looks a little more professional, but still friendly.
Yeah, there's a different now feel for the for Avenir than what was the Poppins character style. So that's the first screen here. Wondering, do you think I should change the iconography to these ones here, to some of these?
Like the circle?
Yeah, because they don't use different colors for their iconography. So I'm like, should I just grab these guys or should I just leave it as is?
Either way, I think is fine. What do you guys think in the chat?
What do you guys think? Let me know. Should I change it? Keep it? Let me know. I'm going to move on to some of these other things while they decide.
Oh, Arthur had another map suggestion. This one is maps.stamen.com. I'll have to check that one out as well.
Maps.stamen?
Yeah.
Oh.
I always get so many good resources from the chat. So guys, also don't forget, if you are doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge, which you definitely should be doing, we're going to be reviewing you guys' submissions from Discord. So just submit them in Discord, and that'll be the last 30 minutes of the show today. So keep working on those daily creative challenges. I believe today was fitness, some kind of fitness app.
Ooh, well, it kind of goes along this theme here.
It does, yeah.
So I'm just basically going through everything to make sure they're all Avenir and they're all centered. Now this can get a little time consuming. This is why, again, I avoid doing this until the very end.
Yeah, you don't want to get too in the weeds until you have really the layout like pretty solid.
Yes. I think for me, like, yeah, doing this kind of stuff, like this tedious, like just going through, this is like the worst part of design for me.
This is actually one of my favorite parts.
See, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. For me,
but for me, I actually like really, the research, the before part is not my favorite. But it sounds like for you, that's like one of your favorite parts.
Yeah, definitely. That's why, different people, you can have different degrees of enjoyment for different aspects of it. What I do like about doing this kind of work a little bit more So is the fact that I can watch TV while doing it.
That's true. Yeah, you can
I could
kind of
really
zone
be
out.
like, I could just zone out, chill, like do this.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm like having to like do, exercises and research, like you cannot do anything else
you
but
got to be
that.
focusing.
I'm having a hard time figuring out how to change this color on this block.
Oh, is it like double grouped?
It's weird because it looks like, oh, here we go. I think. Sometimes with these things.
Oh, was this one of the
go.
icons you got from the that plugin?
Actually, no. I just changed it. I actually literally just took a lock from my previous design and placed it in here because I didn't like that lock from yesterday. I think I don't know. Do you think, okay, did anyone give any feedback on the previous ask I had? Oh, changing icon colors?
I didn't see any.
Okay, so I've got a new one. I'm wondering, should this have some sort of opacity? Do you like this?
Yeah, I like the opacity.
Solid.
Either way, I think. As long as it's not too transparent, because then the contrast between the text in the front and the text in the back would seem a little bit just not super legible. But either way, I think it's fine.
Yeah, you guys, let me know what you think, transparent or not, because I think for me, it's sometimes too a little overwhelming with a gradient and a transparent on top of this. I'm like, it's not so clean anymore with this.
That is, I mean, it is true. You don't really use transparency anywhere else in the interface. So for consistency's sake, maybe it's better to not use that.
Yeah, we'll see. Come back to that as well. Also, like when I'm designing, as you can see, like if I have an issue with something, I'm like, I'll come back. And also like if I'm working with other people, I'm like, what do you guys think? Let's get a poll. All right, cool. Change that, move it about. What is our best guess? It's great to utilize other people and not to work on your own in your own head all the time. Okay.
I think even just like physically sitting next to someone, because I'm a freelance designer and I've been like working a lot by myself for freelance projects, and I think just even sitting next to someone encourages you more to share your work, and just like, since it's super quick to ask someone, hey, what do you think of this? As opposed to like even opening up Slack to like share a screenshot or whatever. Takes a few more seconds.
Definitely. Yeah, that is the sad part right now, right? Because we can't just like sit next to each other, but we can do things like this, and we can zoom and share. So, all right. So I just did all the typography now and all the colors. So I feel like we're pretty good. We've started to make it look more like mint. Something I'm going to say that I don't like is this bike. It doesn't match anymore, this feel. So I want to replace it. Typically what I'll do, like if it's just a quick mock-up like this, I would just literally go into Google and like search.
Are you wanting like a real bike, or did you want to just use, I think you had an icon of a bike somewhere.
I like the real bikes. So I would typically like go into images and I'll just search like bike white met, like I'm looking for a white bike because I think that could kind of look good, or just black maybe, not the blue, and like a PNG. And this is what I'll typically do if I'm just trying to place something in. I'll be like, okay, this looks pretty decent. I'll copy and paste that in, or this one looks kind of cool. So I'll just copy image here, and then let's see what happens when I just place it. So we're going to select this and place it into there.
Raphael in the chat is asking, will Elizé share this case study after you're done with it?
Will I be sharing it?
I guess on Behance,
like this
or wherever.
Design. I'm not actually going to share this one,
but you can watch how she created it.
You can watch how I create it, and then you have this whole the UI kit to make it yourself as well. Unfortunately, I can't for this one, but I will for some future ones, definitely.
Very cool.
All right, guys. So I placed in this little bike. It feels better, right? This little cute bike.
A little cleaner.
Yeah, it's a little clean. It's sweet. I want to ride this Rudy. So cute. All right. Any other suggestions before we move on? How do you guys feel about it? And Andrea, how do you feel about
I think it looks great. It's feeling very cohesive. Love the color changes and the fonts. It's all in the details.
Yeah. So now this is looking a lot different. Let's compare it here. So this was the original UI kit. And now this is like the new look and feel. So you can tell that there's some elements that we've taken from it, but it really doesn't look like the same app. I wouldn't like look at those two and be like, yo, you stole it definitely from this guy, right?
I would not either.
Right. So this is how you can use UI kits and start to place it, initially into your design. Like I have the original ones over. Oh no. Well, whatever. To start placing this into your design, and then next phase, start making it more of your own. Start putting your own branding in it and look and feel into it. Like this is one I took from Mint, but you can create, your own colors and your own typography and start placing it in here and start to have fun with it after you've already gone through the UX experience. So we did that pretty quickly, like 30 minutes or less, to start applying the new UI. And so now what we would want to do is start to do the prototype. Now up here on the upper left-hand top corner, if you guys have never played with this yet, you'll go into prototype mode to start prototyping. Just that easy to go from design to prototype, design to prototype. So easy. And you just want to make sure you're there, because oftentimes I'll be in prototype mode and I'll forget and I'll start designing and I'm like, wait, and then I have to go back into design because the interface is so similar. Like, so just make sure you're in the right place. And so you
can design in prototype, but it's a little, you don't have all the features.
But it's funky.
Yeah.
It's not the best experience. So this is when Tom first arrives onto the app for the day, and it's just giving him the stats on his previous week. So he's probably going to want to exit out of this really quickly and just move on to, reserving the bike. So we want to make sure that we have an X. We have an ability for him to exit out of the pop-up and to be able to move on to the next step. So I'm just going to talk a little bit too of the reasoning why I place certain buttons here from a UX perspective and what I'm thinking about for the user when I go and prototype. So he might spend a couple seconds like, yeah, right on, I'm on track. Or if he's not, he'll be like, exit out of this very quickly. The other thing I actually was thinking about is like, what if he doesn't want to see this screen every single time he logs in? Like, doesn't want to see his last sessions, especially if he's not been doing so well. Maybe we want to like show him that. So I actually was thinking just now, this is what happens when I get into prototyping mode. I'm starting to think of like what all the things the user might want and do. And it helps me to think about more opportunities for design elements to improve upon his user experience. So here I would be thinking, okay, I want to make like a little checkbox for him to be able to turn off this notification.
And one thing that I like on this overlay that you did is, like people don't always do this, is you have a CTA button for like, okay, on track. Like I would assume that on track means like we can also close out of the overlay, and you also have the close button. So like giving users multiple ways to exit out of something if they can't for whatever reason find it, or they're just like used to a certain way of closing out of overlays. So having both of those I think is a good idea.
Definitely. I think that you can exit out here, you can touch here, like thinking about all the ways people can exit so they don't have to think so hard.
Yeah.
How do I get out of this? Especially pop-ups. People hate pop-ups, right? Yeah. So give them ways to get out of it. And only
but at least you made this
necessary.
One like fun and friendly looking.
Exactly. I don't like pop-ups, so if I have to do it, there has to be a clear reason, and it has to serve the user. So this serves him. It brings back to the how might we statement I made earlier. Make him feel really time he's getting on this bike and feel motivated. We want him to that's the purpose of this feeling here. So okay, from here he's going to go into prototype mode, and he's going to select this X, And we're just going to bring it on to the next screen here. So he's going to just be able to exit out of that very quickly. If this is your first time going into prototype, on the right-hand side is your properties inspector. Is like basically where you're going to be able to edit the interactions as much as you want to. So the trigger is going to be tap for me, just when he taps it. The transition, I'm just going to have like a regular transition, nothing fancy. And the animation here, I'm going to change from dissolve to none. I don't want any sort of fancy animation from one screen to the next. So now from here, once he's in this screen, I want it to automatically like bring in this up from the bottom of the screen. So right when he gets in, I want it to be like bloop, bloop, bloop. If you've ever seen that on like Yelp or Airbnb, sometimes they have these experiences, or Google Maps, from the bottom of the screen just like populates the results. It wants to let you know, hey, we're here, down here. So when he logs in, the app knows, hey, he's only 1 block away from his home location. We're just going to show him the results, so he doesn't have to go searching for it. This is why I have this pop-up. So again, thinking about the user's experience in the prototype, I don't want him to like find the search bar, go and locate the place. It already knows him. So
and I like that you didn't take up the whole screen for that. It's just like half or like 3/4 of the screen, so they can still like tap out of that if they don't want to look at that particular area. And they still have the context of like, okay, we're still within the map portion of this app. So I like that it's not totally overwhelming the whole screen.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So this one I am wanting to do an auto animation. So I want this to just like move up on its own. It's going to be really simple. And again, it's for the purpose of the user's experience. This enhances it. I don't do a lot of auto animation just to make things sexy, cool, fun. It serves a purpose. So what you do for auto animate, and I'm going to just show you guys this, how I do it. So if this element, this group, I want it to populate from the bottom of this screen, all I got to do is grab this group, copy it, and paste it into this artboard. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag this. I just use Shift to drag this down so that only the barcode is being seen. I want it so that even regardless of the results are up or not, he can always select the barcode, the QR code, to be able to unlock a bike at any point. So I don't ever want that hidden away from him. I want that always exposed. If he's there in person, he can just tap the QR code and rent it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into prototype mode. And so when this one is going to have a timed trigger. I'm going to change this from transition to time. And I'm going to have it delay for like maybe 1 second. We'll try it out. For me, I'm always like, I don't know how long. I play around with it.
You got to test it out and see what it looks like.
I play around with it. So let's just try to see what 1 second looks like. So basically 1 second delay before the animation comes into play. And then the action type is going to now change from transition into auto animate. And the ease out, I tend to use ease in, ease out. That works for me. The duration 0.3. Let's change it.
It's not so abrupt that way.
Yeah. Let's change it to 1 second. I'm actually going to change this to 2 seconds. Let's just have it be a little longer so we can all see what's happening, because there'll probably be some little delays. So there it goes.
Ooh, lovely. It looks great.
Let's do it again. Why is that working now? Okay, so see, it was a little long before it came up, so I would definitely change that. What did you think about the ease of the actual bottom?
Yeah, I thought the easing animation was perfect.
Okay.
Good amount of time, not too fast or anything.
So let's just
not like, whoa, where's this coming from?
That's another thing we think about accessibility. You don't want anything to come too fast, like to like basically just bounce in the screen too fast, because people, you have to think about some people who might be easily affected by movement. That's another thing to consider for accessibility, is not having anything like flashing, moving around crazy when we think about accessibility. So now we do it 1 second and it popped up now. So that works well. I just realized these pins are different colors. So I'm going to change that.
I didn't even notice that either.
Yeah, change it from like blue to bright blue. Prototyping always helps me find the things that I did incorrectly or
Yep.
the things that I forgot. I'm like, ooh, that's obvious. All right. So now from here, we're wanting it. So it's already selected the results, the top
Okay.
result here. So he can just move forward. I don't think I like this being a clean outline anymore.
I was just gonna say that too, since we already have the border around the whole area there.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I might try like this.
Yeah, that's better.
It's fine for now. Actually, I'm going to do this color.
Osborne in the chat said he had a suggestion to get the background to blur when it pops in. I guess he means like the map portion of it to blur.
This whole thing to blur. Idea. Oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. I think that as far as the sites that I've seen or the apps that I've seen use it, like Google Maps, they don't typically blur it out. So I probably want to use a system that other apps use so that people have a certain mental model for how things work. So I typically try to look at like Uber has this experience, so does Google Maps, and these are commonly used apps. So I would look to them to be like, okay, what are people used to? And that's probably what I would apply. Sometimes it's great to be innovative like that and try something new. And I say, try it, see if it feels good. But I always tend to favor like going towards something people are used to from a standpoint. Great suggestion, thank you. So where were we doing? Okay, so from here, he's gonna go back into prototype mode, click into this button. So when he clicks confirmation, he's gonna go into this screen. I think at this point, let's just pause and see how it all works.
Yeah.
Gosh, don't want to go too far. Okay, so can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
So supposedly he gets in, he's going to exit out of his pop-up. Oh, pulls up. Oh, I see.
Ooh.
Here's the bike I want to reserve right now. Okay, great. I'm going to confirm the reservation. Oh, okay. So it did a dissolve transition. It always defaults to that for me. And I don't know how I feel about dissolve.
I'm not a big dissolve fan.
Yeah.
Unless it's like super quick, and maybe if it's like the splash animation, like at the very beginning of the app or onboarding or something. But we're not onboarding here, so it seems a little like
tacky?
it tacky. That's a way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my mistake. I'm glad we went back because what the prototyping mode does is every last transition you created, it's just going to mimic that same transition. So I had previously done an auto animate, blah, blah, blah. And actually I didn't want auto animated. I want a transition. So you just have to remember it's really helpful sometimes, but then I sometimes forget that it always takes in the last input. And so I think there should be, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it should be default to just nothing, just a simple transition. But you know, it helps sometimes, you know. All right, so if I'm going to now click that, okay, good. I just wanted that, just a simple transition moving forward to the next screen.
That would be cool if it would learn like AI, if you have an overlay or something, or depending on what elements are on the screen, XD knew, oh, she probably wants to use not dissolve here or whatever, auto animate, you know?
Yeah, maybe if it's been a while since the last time I've made a transition, it just then goes back to a default.
That'd be cool.
We'll put that, we'll let them know. All right, so this one's also going to be a timed transition. So for me, what I was thinking is that when you've gotten close enough within 3 to 5 feet of Rudy, your bike, it's going to just automatically unlock. So you don't have to unlock it or do anything. I was trying to think of what are the least amount of steps that the user has to do. So he's just going to arrive to Rudy and it's going to unlock automatically and it's going to vibrate, because I was thinking about people who might, just thinking about accessibility, maybe the phone's in their pocket. So it's just like vibrating. And then, or maybe if they're, have visibility, issues, it can just vibrate. And then third, there's an audio, the bike will say, hey, hop on. So I'm thinking of different ways to assist for accessibility for multiple types of people with different impairments.
Yeah. Yeah, thinking of like all of the senses, not just sight, you know, so
yes.
Do they hear something? Is it like a micro animation with sound or, you know, like the vibration? Do they feel it? Sight obviously is the first thing that we can change because it's all pretty much about sight, but what are like the other, you know, tactile or different sort of senses that we could use for that?
Yeah, definitely, because first we are thinking about serving different audience groups, but also everybody can benefit from it, right? So if I'm like, oh, I'm walking to my car or walking to my bike, I'm sorry, and I feel the vibration, I already know it's unlocked. But then I also hear it, it's like, hey, hop on. So I'm starting to really start to engage and understand the experience, but that serves multiple types of people. And so thinking about accessibility doesn't only think about someone who's hearing impaired, it actually helps the broad group, the broad audience as well. So, but it's important to start thinking about all types of people.
And it might even, like if it's a specific interaction when you know, you see, oh, you're coming towards the bike, you get a vibration, it'll start to train your brain that, oh, maybe that's my phone because it's a bike near me. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched The Office, but that episode where he's like training Dwight to, it's like the phone and he keeps putting a penny in the phone each day and then he removes all the pennies and then he like whacks his head. But it's like he trains his phone. I don't remember like what episode it was about, but yeah.
Oh, I love The Office. I've been watching this, the YouTube channel with John Krasinski. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Some Good News.
Yeah. I haven't actually watched it, but it looks uplifting and wholesome. I like things like that.
It's so uplifting and makes you feel good to watch. I just realized like this was locked, and so I needed to create like an unlock view. If you want some subtle auto animation here, go back into prototyping mode. Again, like for me, this is not about making it cool, but it's about visually for the user to understand that this is being unlocked. So that's again why I would create an animation. So if you are also thinking of how do I use animation, when should I use it, think about, does it serve the user? Like, do you feel that there is a need for it? And that's where I think animations are very key and important, when it enhances the user experience, doesn't take away and serve the designer's need for it to be super cool looking.
Right.
Okay, so if I go from here, let's see, it unlocks. Okay, so it does.
Ooh.
So it's a bit of
very subtle, but it's nice.
Yeah, subtle animation. We could even probably play around with it being bigger, but it's fine for now. Okay, so here it goes to time delay. Let's see how this looks from this screen. It should give a couple seconds and then it should just automatically unlock.
Oh, it was so fast. I like didn't even catch it.
Yeah, let's see. So, was that too fast?
No, I think that was great.
Okay. So now this is also going to just go straight into this screen. No delay.
And so this is where they actually start riding, correct? Or after they ride. After they ride, I guess. Like a confirmation. How long you rode.
Yeah, I was thinking that. So I'm just playing around with this animation now. So at this point, this is when they're in ride mode, like they're on their ride. And I was thinking that in this design, they've already been riding for like 12 miles. So like he landed here, this said 0 miles.
Sure.
It had his mileage goal for the day, 18 miles. But in my prototype here, it's showing like 12.125 miles. He's already almost there. And he can also go into his like full dashboard view where you can see more about his stats. Maybe he's entered in the amount of pounds he wants to lose per month and stuff like that. So we can go a little bit deeper into the health aspect for it. So from here, he can end his ride. Where is it going? No, not there. So he can end his ride now and see his stats here. Yeah, I don't think we need any transition really. This is fine.
Yeah.
Again, like, oh, so this is like a quick tip. So you see how the X automatically already knew it was going to this screen, although it should go to this screen. If you guys are prototyping, and this is going to be the same action on this screen to this screen, what you can do is you just go into, I'm going to exit out of it. Actually, first I'm going to delete this to show you the example. Oh, yeah. So if I want this X on this screen to prototype to this link, to the screen here, but I also want the X on this screen to prototype, I just need to copy it in prototype mode and then go into here and paste it. And so it's already copied the same interaction as well.
Oh, it copies the interaction too. Nice.
Yeah, so I found that's really helpful later down the road. If you have like the same arrow that needs to go to the screen, you just copy and paste it. Or I can just, you know, if I wanted to copy and paste this whole element, I can paste it in and it just remembers all the interactions. But you have to make sure you're in prototype mode to do that.
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't if you're just in design mode.
If you're just in design mode, it doesn't. Okay. So you have to be in prototype mode and copy and paste. It's been very helpful for me. Yeah. So let's see how this goes now with the prototype flow.
All right. I wish we could make it bigger, but
I know.
That's okay. It looks great though.
So I'm going to exit out of this. And then it's going to pull up my results at the location nearest me. I'm like, okay, great. I want to reserve Rudy 421. Great, it's reserved. And you're near the bike. It unlocked for you.
Love it.
And now you're in ride mode. You're riding around. You can see your stats. I was also thinking that on the bike itself, Rudy would tell you when you're closest to. It's like, you're 5 miles until your goal.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always great to think about, especially when you're creating a digital experience that also has a physical experience. You want to think about how those two really are cohesive and create an ultimate experience. So is there a way we could add some sort of talk bot to the bike? And you also have to think, when's it annoying and when's it good? Can you turn off that experience if you want to? Can you turn it on? And can you, can you have him make jokes, So stuff like that you can start to think about. And so that's what I
does
really
it like
love.
Stick to the bike somehow? Like, is there somewhere that you can physically always put your phone? So it's not like, oh, you're holding it in your hand and like jumbling it around, or it's in your pocket or whatever.
Definitely, because I have a little handle on my bike for my phone, so I can see my maps and stuff like that.
Nice, yeah.
So yeah, definitely, that's great. Yeah, I love thinking about digital and physical experiences. One of my favorite things to work on.
Me too.
So okay, then I would end my ride, and great, you hit all your goals. You know what I would want to do at some point? I'm not going to do it today, but I was just thinking, like, I would want this to have some sort of animation with these little things floating out. Like, have a little boop, like you hit all your goals. And again, just to make you feel so good about going back on that bike tomorrow and getting back on that fitness train and feeling really good. But I'm not trying to get that comprehensive. So you guys have also asked, how do I go from creating a prototype, creating a really quick prototype with UI Kit to now what do I do with it? Why do we create it? So we can start to share it, right? So if you haven't used it yet, up on the upper left-hand corner, it says Design, Prototype, Share. Well, now when I'm ready to share it, let's say for getting user feedback, I need to first make sure this screen is my home screen. So when you're in prototype mode, you put in as your home screen. Then when you share it, you can create a prototype link to share. So you can change the setting to user testing. And this is really ideal for when you're user testing. Don't change it to, or don't have it be any of these other settings. You need to make sure it's user testing. And I'll show you why.
We don't need them to see the comments or anything.
Exactly. I've made that mistake, guys.
Really?
I've sent the wrong one and me being like something weird.
That's really funny, actually.
Luckily, there's somebody who like just doesn't even understand prototypes and what's the difference of the commenting. And I was like, just exit out of the comments.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's funny.
Open this up here. Oh, yeah, we're in this guy. Whew.
Oh, we're still in inspect.
So now I opened up my link to my prototype, and you can see that it doesn't show anything besides the prototype. Right, so I can
we can
exit
still
out.
click around, which is nice.
Yes, because this is all you're trying to get from the users, for them to like be able to click around the experience, and for you to be able to start to take notes as a tester. So one of the ways that I've been doing user testing through Zoom before this, the pandemic right now, but I think that this is such great knowledge, and so great for anybody to start to be like, oh my God, this is such a great time to user test, because people are home, and now they're so much more apt to using Google or Google Hangouts or Zoom. People are so much more used to it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that can be a hurdle in itself, just like getting used to Zoom or whatever video conferencing you're using, and then get them to try to, okay, let's open up the prototype. How do we do that?
Yes, exactly. There is definitely a learning curve. And when I'm testing with like 50-year-olds, so like right now, like social workers, they're not like, they're confused. Like, wait, what do I have to open?
Not techie people.
And I have to share my screen. And now it's just, again, like now it's going to be so much easier to user test with people virtually. So what I would typically do is I would just share this link with them right when the meeting starts, like through an email or just through the chat. And then I would ask them to share their screen, and I would ask if I can record the call. And then as they're going through the link, I'm just taking notes on maybe a second monitor or my piece of paper, and watching them as they go through the prototype. So that's how I do user testing virtually.
It's a great way to do it. And how do you usually find your users?
So it depends on every company. Like right now, we're working for Los Angeles Family Housing. So our users are different types of social workers. So we are just reaching out to the social workers, asking them for 30 minutes of their time. If it's like an app for maybe a personal project or something, I would probably start with surveying people who match my persona criteria. So if I'm trying to maybe, let's say, user test this app, I would say, hey guys, I would start with my friends and family. Anybody can fill out this, survey. It should only take 2 minutes for you to let me know a little bit about your biking experience, or whether or not, if you are someone who uses Bird or a biking subscription, like, can you please fill this out? And from those survey results, hopefully you can get a decent amount, 20, but up to 100 is ideal. And from those results, you can start to pick out, 5 people who would be interested in doing an actual interview with you through Zoom and test your prototype. Now that's because based on their answers, I'm going to want to like dive a little deeper into some of the individuals. And in my actual survey, I have as my last question, are you open to a 30-minute interview? It really helped me out.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's how I get people to test with me.
Yeah.
Especially if it's free, I try to give them a little like, I'm someone who's really just trying to help out this space. Please
right.
30 minutes with me.
Yeah.
So it's always, it's helped. I've been very successful at that. I've interviewed tons and tons of people without ever paying them, because I don't have a budget for it.
Right.
So, all right.
And I feel like the 30 minutes at the end, a lot of times, for research, like that's where I get like really the gold nuggets. Like if people are just, they ease up a little bit and they just start to talk to you as like a friend, like you ask them about just in general, oh, what are your problems with transportation, or, whatever the topic is. And then they can just kind of just talk more at ease, as opposed to like, maybe if they're doing something with tech they're not really used to. So they're a little bit nervous going through, or they're hesitant to tell you some of their problems. So that's a good idea. I'm going to use that.
Definitely.
That question at the end.
So now what I'm going to talk about here is when I'm trying to create a development link. So I am going to just update this link. So I just changed the setting from user testing to development specs. So it's going to create the link now. And you can actually update the current link, or you can just create new links as well. So maybe you want to just send this one link to a user and you want to create a whole new link for developers, you can totally do that. So all you need to do is select it and then say new link. But I'm just going to use the same one for now.
And just a reminder for everyone in the chat, we've got about 25 minutes until we're going to be doing reviews for yesterday's, I guess, daily creative challenge, whichever one you have today or yesterday. So we'll be looking in Discord. So be sure to share your work there. Elizé and I will both be looking there at 1:30. I think that's right with the time change. It's 3:30 my time, but I always get confused.
Yeah, so I typically, I'm just going to give you some context here. So here is the share link where you can see comments and you can see dev annotations. And typically I will send this link to developers because I want them to see my annotations in the comment view. So as a developer, they can see, okay, she said that, when a user turns off this notification, this will no longer pop up, and the user can change this in the settings profile. So this is stuff that you need to tell your developer, but it's not obvious with just the prototype. They have to have some more context. So this is what I use to give my developer annotations. Then they can go over on the right-hand side and change it to where they can see the specs as well. So from here they can see, oh, okay, I see all the dimensions of this, how far it is from a different element on the screen, etc. They can really get into the weeds here. They can see hex codes. They can see, they can even see some information on the auto animation as well and how that works. And they can download assets from here as well. So basically, this is every single thing that a developer needs outside of maybe a style guide. Or some sort of design library, because they can start to actually interact with the prototype. They can see the annotations and they can go into the development specs. This is every single thing they need just in this link. It's pretty incredible because this was not the case before. It was very, very extensive in how you would have to hand off designs to a developer.
Exporting each of the PNGs individually.
Yep. Export each one. Terrible. PNGs, SVGs, you have to have folders for every single thing, and through Dropbox or something like that, you would have to write all these out in a separate document. This would have to be something you would write out in a separate document, writing out these dimensions here. Very time intensive, and this is now so simple that I think that's why they say it's much easier to be a UX UI designer than ever before. It's because they've automated the difficult parts.
Yeah. All the passing off parts.
All the passing off parts, yeah. All right, so we've now been able to design, prototype, and share our designs really quickly. We've done it now, I think, in a total of 3 hours, yesterday to today combined, or less than that, 2.5 hours. Been able to do all of that, and that's a great amount of time for you to start having a first initial prototype to start sharing. Also, the thing I want to say here is this is not just for developers. You can use a whole new link for your stakeholders or maybe some other team members to start writing comments into your screens. Like, hey, dude, I don't like this color. What does this mean? I don't get it. You can really start to have conversations all within here. So you can comment back and you can be like, looks good, right? So this is a great way to interact with your team as well. So there's really multi-purpose and really important in the process.
And I do like how you can drag around those little pins, like it has numbers in each of them.
Yeah.
So they know exactly where you're talking about on the page, because sometimes it's like, oh, that little icon right there, and you don't, if you're doing it remotely, especially like now, you don't know exactly where they're talking about. So that's really handy.
Yes, 100%. This is super handy because just like you were saying, sometimes I'm like, yeah, that one screen where you close it and right over there in the corner.
Yep.
And it's like, no, just put it right there and people will know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's really great. All right. So that's basically the first prototype we created. We're going to start to move on to something totally new because we already did it so quick that we still have time to do some more stuff. Woo! Any comments that have come up through, or any questions that have come up with this before we move on? Have you seen, Andrea?
Not too much about the dev part.
Okay, nothing else about the prototyping, linking, nothing?
No, I don't
see
any.
Cool.
Oh, one question. Have you used Usability Hub from Raphael?
No, I've not used that. Please let me know what that is. Yeah, let me know what that is. Usability Hub. So we have about 20 minutes left. What I wanted to do is I wanted to rip on my case study, my own case study.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. So I'm going to show you a case study I have and why I don't like it and why I don't think it's good.
So this is like a previous one that you've created. Oh, on your website or on Behance. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is a previous one I created a couple years back. It has something, it's kind of very similar to the design we did today in some aspects. And I'll explain what I don't like about this case study and some of the things I'm going to do to change it. So I'm going to see what I can do in the next 20 minutes to improve upon my design.
Cool.
But
I love this.
Yeah, but I think it's first good for you guys to see, you know, someone hating on their own stuff. That's kind of fun, right?
So true. It's easy to dole out advice for everyone else, but when it comes to your own, you know.
Definitely. And I'll sort of explain why I don't like it initially and why it served its purpose before, because basically this design, this case study was created for my agency. So it was not a personal project. So it was like, okay, from an agency's perspective, what do we want some potential clients to see? So that was the perspective I've had. So it was very lean and didn't give a whole lot of context. Now I'm looking back on it, I'm like, it's too lean and there's not enough storytelling. I'm all about creating good stories with your case studies. So right off the bat, I do start with a challenge, which is good, like design the easiest app experience for vehicle sharing in the market. So we're kind of going in the same context, looking at vehicle sharing like Lyft.
I see a pattern
Uber,
here.
Yeah, Bird,
you really like transportation stuff.
Loving it. So the reason why I'm like not loving this very beginning is because there's not enough context to the person reading this of like, what even is this? I don't know. So you're just seeing a challenge and then you're going into the research. Well, what the heck is this design anyway? Like, what is this company? So something I would have up here is to explain what Envoy is. So it would be like, Envoy is a vehicle sharing platform that is community based. So basically, not just anybody can rent out these electric vehicles. You have to be inside an apartment complex that has this service.
Oh, okay,
so
that's
very
cool.
Specific. So again, the user would not have known that, right? So I need to give a little context here, and I need to talk about what they wanted me to do. So the challenge was not just making the easiest vehicle sharing app in the market, but they wanted me to also add scooters and bikes. They originally only had cars on their platform. They also wanted to have a completely new user interface. They needed a rebrand, refresh, dier. So they wanted to do that.
So you got to start from scratch pretty much.
Pretty much, yes.
Cool.
So as you can see, that's a lot more juicy information that I could have given
that's the stuff I want to know.
The beginning. Yeah, where were they before and where are they at now? Like, based on my designs, what's the before and after life? Which I do share a little bit of that and I'll show you.
Yeah.
So user research, I used surveys and interviews to understand problems that the current Envoy users had with car and ride sharing apps. These are some of the things they liked. Now, I really like clear and concise, which is great here. It's just a couple sentences, but it's not giving me that much context to like, what was the juicy stuff that came out of this research? And so one thing that came out of this was that because this is a community-based app, like this is a car that is inside their apartment, they wanted it to feel like it was their own car. Like they can just walk out and like unlock it and get into their car. That was really important to them. They didn't want it to feel like it was something shared amongst all the other people, that it was not going to be as accessible. So again,
this is generally like an app that would be in like a bigger city where people maybe don't have a lot of cars just because there's not room for a bunch of parking or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's basically an incentive for an apartment complex to be like, hey, you only need a car a couple times a week, maybe.
Right.
You don't even need to own a car. We have this service for you. And so you're like, dang, I want to live in this apartment complex versus another one. And they even have Teslas, right? So it's like, dang, I get a Tesla and like, I don't have to pay like, $5 per, every 10 minutes or something. It was really accessible. So, again, so I tell this to designers all the time, don't tell me what you did exactly, like give me a little bit, but what really came out of it? What was the juicy bits? Now, this is okay. I talk about how we're standing out from the competition a bit, like how our app is going to compare to these other services, and the fact that, we have all these new features, booking in 2 steps, which serves for this guy to feel like it's his own. It's so easy for him to grab it. It's like right in his parking lot. At the time, actually, this was a few years back, there was no scooters for Uber and Lyft and so forth. So this is before then. So we're like, oh wow, you have all the things. You can rent an electric bike, car, etc. Here I have some piece of my user flow, and it was very, very extensive, all the flows, because there's so many use cases with thinking about a physical car and a scooter and all the things that can happen. Like, does it break down? You lose your keys, like all the different things that can happen. So I love that I did have this, and that I showcased my flows and my some of my thought process here. So that's really good. But I think that, again, I didn't give enough context and something juicy again that came out of this, out of the flows. Like, okay, based on designing these flows, we realized there was 7 edge cases that really needed to have maybe more whole customer support system that they didn't have, right? So how do we even like tackle that problem too, and work with the client to think about, how do we serve this? How can we still give the customers customer service with what they have, and maybe build out that a little bit more? And how do we make some compromises on the app for that too? So that again is like more the complexity, the more juicy information.
Right. It's a fine line also between like having so much information, so much text that people don't necessarily have the time or want to read, but choosing like like you're saying, the juicy parts, really the important parts that you want to stand out without having too much text so they get bored or, overwhelmed by having too much.
Exactly. Like, how do I tell that story in 2 or 3 sentences? Because everything, as you can see in my profile, like, or my case study, I only have a couple sentences, and I like it that way. I like the visuals to tell more of the story.
Right.
But every single word I put on here should be really supporting that story and be intriguing, so that if I read this and I was like, oh, that is interesting, how did she solve that? The next piece would then be, I'd be much more engaged with that next sentence, like to understand, how did she solve for this? This is a complex problem. All right. And so I talk here about, going from sketching to high fidelity. I think that this is good. Like, you can see, okay, this designer does do the full process. They do go from sketching to wireframes to high fidelity. That's like a good indication that they're not just a UI designer, that they do really think about problem solving and improving upon their designs. So that's great. But again, I'm just talking about like that I do iterations and that I do this. Well, what did I get? What did I learn from this screen that was implemented into this screen?
Sure.
Right. So something that I did learn here was that the fact that here at the bottom of this screen, you don't see this confirmation button. I added this later down the road because you kind of had to scroll a bunch, and you didn't need to scroll all that much. If you're renting out the same car every single time, you don't need to see all the details. You just want to like go on and like select it. And so this is within thumb, like very close to your thumb. You could just easily confirm it and see the total price. And this is something that I took from Airbnb. They have this experience of just being able to have this
right above the fold.
Right above the fold as a sticky element on the screen. So that's some of the context I would want to know if I'm looking at this case study from someone. Like, I did this because of this, right? And
I almost would want to see like a video of you at the beginning explaining all of this, because that would be like super just intriguing to me, and I would know everything right away. And the way you describe things as well would be intriguing.
That's a great point, Andrea. So this is something I suggest for designers, is to create a video of them talking through their case study. And it should only be 1 to 2 minutes. Only 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah, super short.
Yeah.
Nothing too
very
like,
short.
Don't give a monologue or anything. But.
Exactly. Very short, but have that, because then you're seeing someone's personality and their train of thought and how they communicate. And it's so important to be a good communicator if you are working as the product designer, because you have to communicate your ideas, your vision. You have to really push for something, to be an advocate for the user and for the business. And sometimes you're pushing against other people who have different mindsets, and you have to really showcase your ideas, the research, and be able to communicate very clearly. And it's a skill set that you have to learn and to be able to
it's partly being a salesman, you know.
Yeah, so I do. I have to sell my stuff all the time. Yeah, even, you know, it doesn't matter how much experience you have to do it all the time.
Yep.
So here I'm showing like that we created a design system for the user. Cool. Like this is all like, okay, sure. Like I like that. I can see that you are more of a UI designer. You think about 8-point grid systems. You're very conscientious of doing pixel perfect design. That's what I'm getting here. Like, sure. Okay, great. This picture tells enough. Do I need to say much more? Maybe not so much, right?
You know what I like about this area also is that it doesn't like take up too much real estate. Like I don't have to keep scrolling through a bunch of this. It's like, okay, I can see it, you know, in one little scroll. I don't have to keep scrolling through. Like I get it, you know, within 1 second of seeing, okay, color palette, got some grid lines, buttons, got it. You know, I don't need to keep scrolling through all this. So keeping this area concise, I think, is very important.
Yeah, that's a good point. So even though there's a lot more to this,
right.
I just cut it off. So you can still see, oh, there is more. Right. So it's not just like, if this was cut out completely and you just see these two pieces, you might think, is that the only thing she did for the design system?
She wasn't very busy.
Yeah, exactly. But having a little cutoff, or sometimes I'll do a little fade away with like white over here down below, that'll just tell the story that I did want. And that's all you need to know, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point. And then here I talk about the features, like here are all the things, you know, you can book it in 2 steps. Here I would definitely want to see GIFs of like how those booking in 2 steps work, like boom, boom, boom. You can easily add that. 3 vehicles.
And I actually, sorry, real quick. I actually prefer GIFs over clickable prototypes in Behance, your portfolio work, because sometimes you don't know if it's clickable, and then you're like, oh, where am I supposed to click around if it doesn't have like the hotspots that appear, like showing you where to click. So just give me like a little movie file, super quick, of you doing it, because you are the person that created it, and I can see it very quickly.
Love that idea. Yeah, that's great. I also have a lot of difficulty every time I've opened up someone's prototype, because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to click, what it even means. So having something like this where you're describing what's happening with a little GIF, you can start to understand and get more context. If you just send someone a prototype, they're just dropped in and like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Where am I? What is my scenario? I don't get it. So that's a great point, Andrea. And
just kind of in the dark, like blankly trying to find the walls.
Yeah, I'm just like, how do I get to the screen? What's happening? Just click,
no map.
click. Yeah. Definitely been through that. That's why, like, to your point, doing a video of it, you talking through it and like clicking through, that's a lot better. And oh my gosh, with XD, they make it so easy.
Right.
If I go into play mode, see that there's this little record button.
I use that all the time.
Yes, it's amazing. You can enable your microphone. You can have it on or off. So you can just have that on and you can play it and record yourself being like, this is what happens here. And then Tom does right? You can tell the story. And that's going to be so much more interesting than just having your prototype up here for us to blindly navigate.
Yeah, totally agree.
Where am I? How do I get out? There's no back button.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Sometimes it's like you can't get back if you're in an overlay and maybe they forgot to use a close button or something, and then you're just stuck.
Yeah, exactly. So here I'm just putting out a bunch of features. Again, like I don't love that I have to I wish this was on the left side or the right side of it too. And so I can just like see it side by side. I don't like having to read this and scroll down to see the full screen. And if I do have a full screen like this, like I like when people will have like a little line here and point out and be like, I did this because of XYZ, or most users felt this. So give me some context, sort of why you create the screen, and give me some of your thought process here.
It looks beautiful, but I'd like more description.
But that's
how it was created.
Exactly. It's just being just beautiful is not enough anymore, right? We gotta think about the brains behind the beauty. And
We've
then,
got lots of metaphors over here today.
and then here I have like a before and after, but I feel like it's hard to understand that initially. Like I wish this said like before, after redesign, like just more clearly perhaps, and talk about maybe even have a couple more screens to show before and after. It's just not punchy enough here.
Sure.
So, and then I don't have any stats on what happened, what is, what came from this, anything like that. It's just not enough of an ending. It kind of really falls flat.
Sure.
So actually I should have opened it up to you. Sorry, Andrea. Do you have any other feedback here that you thought could be improved upon?
Man, I think you really covered it. Like, I feel like this is a good length though. Like I have enough information that I know your skills. I would add everything pretty much that you described, but like I know like the process that you went through, but I'm not scrolling forever and totally getting lost and just kind of bored after a while. And another thing that I think is super important is having like a good balance of text and the visuals, like you were saying. People don't want to read a lot. So if we have like little call outs next to some of the visuals, it makes it a little bit easier. People prefer picture books. It's kind of like that, and they don't want to read like super long text, but
yeah, I like to think of it like you're creating a little article and like a picture book. Can you tell a story? And I mentioned this yesterday. Can you tell enough of a story with all the headings? Challenge, user research, this. Can I tell a story with the images I select and create enough, to so that somebody doesn't have to even read that much further into it to be able to be like, okay, she's competent, like she knows what she's doing. Cool. Because again, like that's what I do. I just look at headings, and this is how I usually
just skimming pretty much, really.
Yeah, I look at this, I go challenge, do I not understand it? And I'll just scroll like this, just really quickly. I'll go to the bottom and I'll be like, okay, maybe I will spend some more time on this. This looks pretty decent. Now I'm gonna go in and start to spend a little more time on it. But I only give it like a few seconds up front to be like, is this even worth my time? Is this gonna be super long? Does it seem like they got all and hit all the points? Like, you have to really engage someone right away. It's really thinking about the user experience.
Yeah.
Right? If I think this person didn't think about my user experience, are they going to be able to create a good experience for my product?
Right.
So something to think about, right?
I agree. All right, guys, we have about 3 minutes until the challenge deadline. So we're going to review you guys' work. I have Discord pulled up. So is there anything else here that you wanted to review first, or any questions you wanted to ask the chat?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the chat, do you guys have any feedback for improving upon this? Did you see anything that you didn't like? And also, did you learn anything from me showing my case study? I love talking about how to improve case studies. I will show one more thing, actually.
Okay. Turning the tables here.
What? Okay, I'll show you another case study I have that I think is better and why I think it's better. So here, I do talk about what is this product.
Okay.
They turn kids art into books. Perfect.
Oh, that's
I get it.
Cute.
Right. And I showcase myself here, like working with the client doing card sorting and stuff. So this is always great to see you actually like doing the action. Now it's really awkward to take these shots sometimes. And sometimes I'm in the back, I'm like just taking the picture and sometimes I don't know, do what you want, but I need to get the pictures.
Right.
Like this will look
I always forget to get pictures. That's such a good thing to have.
Yes. And like this is a picture of their facilities. I'm talking about how they have too many boxes and not enough actually people buying the product itself. So they're sending their art, but they're not actually buying the book.
Gotcha.
So that's the big goal here. But something else I wanted to point out is like I show even here like myself doing a user test, but I just used an emoji to cover up this person.
Why not?
It's like, okay, I was still showing that I can do this. And this is another thing I really like when I see this too, is I took their old screens and I talked about what the user feedback was. They were confused with this, they didn't understand that.
And it's nice that it's right on top of the design. I don't have to like go somewhere else and try to reference that. Sorry, I've been using my hands a lot.
That's okay.
But yeah, you don't have to try to scroll a lot to find like where exactly you're talking about in the interface.
Exactly. Like even in my final designs, I'm talking about what we're doing. Okay, here we want to add photos to have to gain more trust from the user, etc. Like, so putting it in context helps me to understand your train of thought. So this is something I really like to see in other people's case studies as well. So anyways, those are just a couple other notes. Here's another before and after. I talked a little bit more about what was not working before, what's working after.
This is so helpful. Jasmine in the chat said, learned so much from this. I'm trying to get into UI UX design, and breaking down your case study gave me great ideas on how to approach my own projects. Thank you.
Yay,
so that's
great.
Awesome.
So glad. And here I have a GIF. So finally, here's a GIF. And then I also put a quote from the CTO, like talking about, you know, me and my team and how we were really great doing XYZ. So it's really great to get like a little bit from your stakeholders or your team members, the team that client you work with. Yeah. So those are some feedback to how to improve your case study.
Awesome. All right, well, I guess that's a good place to switch over now. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I've got Discord pulled up here. All right, let me know. Can you see what I'm seeing here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so yesterday we were reviewing the portfolios, but today we're reviewing our XD daily creative challenges. And let me pull that up real quick. Whoops, that was my email. Okay, so we're on Behance.
Look at that too.
And this is how you can find today's challenge. So oh wait, hold on. You can just actually go in here. So just go up to Creative Challenge. And Sam always lets us know what today's challenge is. So Jesse has been our live streamer, and today was about feedback. So it was design a challenge a friend experience for an at-home group exercise app, allow users to track progress and receive feedback using visual indicators. So I'm scrolling on down here at the very bottom. So I'll just, if you see something that you want me to stop on and we can give feedback, just let me know. I'm just going to start scrolling through. All right. So this one was by Ralph. I don't know that this one was a fitness app though. Easter gifts. Current challenge. Okay, here's a video. Let's look at this one. It says foodie. Anytime, available 24 hours. Add to cart within 2 steps. And I'm not clicking this. This is just like a video.
Oh, it's funny. I felt like you were. Order anything you want. Anytime available 24 hours. Add to cart within 2 steps.
Okay. So first initial reactions. This one, I don't think this one is today's. Oh, maybe this was from yesterday.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if this is for fitness.
Yeah. Let's try to find one for fitness. Oh, here's one. Okay. Healthy activities. This one's by Olga.
Cool.
So we've got Pilates, ball, yoga. Guess that's all we no like clicking around. That's okay though. We can work with this. So initial reactions, I would say like we need some kind of context down here for what the actual app is about. Like I get that it's about healthy activities, but like I need some more context for what am I doing with Pilates? You know, I need maybe like 2 lines of text or something. Like we're using a ball in this onboarding screen, but you know, maybe what kind of exercise am I going to get out of this? I would also make these onboarding little steps here like much smaller. Maybe same with this CTA button here. What about you? Any feedback before we move on to another one?
I like these illustrations a lot. And I like even that the middle one is playing off and going off this main screen a little bit. But if you play around like that, as far as just showcasing and doing a mock-up, I kind of want that to be on all the screens. Like you play a little bit around with boundaries like this. But I really love the colors and the illustrations themselves. I'm wondering if you got these from somewhere or if you made them, but I thought these are really great choices to put here, and I like that. It makes me feel really calm and like I want to work out. So that's a good thing.
I agree. Thank you for sharing this one. I have to keep moving this around. This one was by Olga.
Thanks, Olga.
Awesome. Let's check out another one. I'll give this a thumbs up. Let's see. And these might be from yesterday or the day before, so we can just check out some of these other ones. All right, so this one's by Yvonne. So this one was Tuesdays. So the challenge prompt for this day was design the desktop interface for a video chat app that allows users to connect with friends and family online. And okay. Oh, we've got a video, so let's play the video. Cool little auto animate there. Okay, so I think that's the end. My initial thoughts is I'm not really sure what aspect ratio this is. I'm assuming this is like a 1920 by 1080 desktop or maybe a tablet or something. But I didn't see any like hamburger menu or some kind of menu where I can, or maybe this is supposed to be the menu down here, but where I can access like all of the other screens in this. It is kind of cool how it's like modular and I see maybe all of my friends that I'm calling or chatting with. But I would like to see how I can get from screen to screen. That's my initial thoughts on this.
Yeah. Can I read the top again? What she said this was?
This part?
Design the desktop interface for a video chat app that allows users to connect with friends and family online. Okay. Sorry. And then can we look back at it at the screen again here? Okay. Yeah. I think that the colors are really nice. I like that for the chat, it's darker. And so there's a little bit of a visual difference between the other stuff. So I can tell like, okay, this is something different than the rest. So that's where you do the chat. I think that I'm on the left-hand side I guess I'm not really sure what's happening in the center. Like, are these all of us in a video chat together?
I would think so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. And so, because I guess I'm used to seeing it differently, like with a Zoom call where there's maybe one person who's chatting and you can like focus more on that person and you can see other people on the side. Something about this view, I guess I'm not really sure exactly what's happening quite yet, but yeah, maybe if you had some more time for more screens, it would be clear. And I like that you have a calendar view, like you can see, hey, I got a video chat with this guy and with
right, what's coming up. That's
I like that a lot. So
yeah, I feel like you're just trying to do too much like at one time. Because we've got the calendar, all of these video screens, and a chat. So maybe just try to focus on like one of these at a time and then hide the others away in a menu so we can access them later.
Yeah, maybe if you pull this into two screens and just like when you're on video, you're doing video and you can always pull up the chat as needed. But I feel like most people don't need, people I think on video calls use the chat here and there. Especially if there's only like 4 people, you might not need it so much. So yeah, maybe minimize that until necessary.
Yeah, I would agree on that one. Okay, so this was Wednesdays. And this challenge prompt was design an app that allows users to scan recipes and save them to a shared library with the focus on creating an animation that shows when a recipe has been added using auto animate. So we've got some fruit over here. Okay, so it looks like it's an iPhone app and we're like making a smoothie. So we've got different fruits and stuff. So blackberry, different smoothies. We've got ingredients, directions, and a QR code. Let me read this again. Scanning, so basically scanning recipes. I would like to know, like, where are we scanning the recipes from? Like, where are we getting this QR code? Is it from like a recipe book, or, you know, is it online or something, or is it in another app? So like, where would this show up? Because that would, I'd like to maybe just have some other context on this particular screen. So these menus at the, or these icons at the bottom, I mean, they make pretty much sense to me. Like, I've got, maybe this is my book of recipes, which is where we are here. And then this is QR code over here. And then this is saved, I would assume, my saved recipes. But one thing that's jumping out to me is that I don't see, like, which page are we on right here? I'm not sure which one is selected. So I would assume maybe we're like on this screen. So I would make this like maybe this darker blue color to know that this page is selected. I would still maybe have these icons down here, and then have like QR code selected on here. And maybe on this page have the saved icon selected. But I do like these little circles, seeing like the top down view of a smoothie. That's kind of cute. You normally just see like straight on, but that's a neat idea. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really like the images you've used, and the one on the left, that screen is very visually enticing, like makes me want to select them and learn more about them.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. I think that I'm still not sure like what the view is here, if this is an iPhone or not, because the screen looks kind of more like a mock-up, or not something like real tangible screen. So that's totally okay. But if you wanted it to look more like an app, I would maybe just make sure that the screen actually looks like the right dimensions of an app, and maybe even put like, sometimes it makes it more real to put the, you know, the battery charge and like that little top bar in there as well, and maybe even place it within a screen. Like the UI kit I used, it had like a little phone and you can place your images in, so that can just make it feel all that more real.
That helps a ton.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing, just for Andrea's point of like trying to figure out what those bottom buttons are, I typically say, again, for accessibility and just for people to understand what is happening here, you can actually put the words there. So you would put book saved, QR code, and I think it's more important now than ever to just have people know what things are and not just let icons do all the talking. Just makes it much more clear for everyone. But I just think this is really beautiful. And again, love the colors. You have a really great eye for this like kind of very comfortable, beautiful aesthetic that I really like here.
I agree. Very like smoothie colors, like blueberries.
Yeah, I love it.
A feel of.
I want this app. Ooh, we have a video.
Let's check this out. So okay. So I see these are like toggles, and you choose. Okay, let me go back to the beginning here. So we can toggle like strawberry on or off, maybe depending on what smoothies you or what fruits you have. That's really cute. See, this is like, I would like to see this more up at the top. That's neat. One real quick note on like where that little button makes the smoothie larger. This to me feels like it's a hover animation, but we wouldn't really have hover on iPhone. So otherwise I would assume we click into this Blackberry Dream recipe if I would click anywhere on there. So just a minor little thing on that one, but
yeah, it's fun to play with hover, but it's like it doesn't work on mobile.
Right. Okay. Lots of cute animations. Nice.
I'm obsessed with those toggles. I just want to toggle it so bad myself on the phone. Idea. That's like one of the cutest toggles I've ever seen.
I know.
Yay on you.
I would use that for like any food that I have in my kitchen or in my fridge, you know, just like, what do I have? Toggle on everything on and off, you know?
Yeah, the concept is great, and the execution of these toggles is great. Just love it.
Yeah. All right, so this one was by Yvonne. Thank you so much for sharing, Yvonne. Let's check out another one. All right, so this one is by Michael Frost. Let me make this bigger. Go to the beginning. Okay, so plants, petals, and pubs. Sign me up. I think this was like an onboarding one. Oh, vegan. I'm not sure what this challenge was specifically. But I think same kind of feedback as like the first one that we looked at with the illustrations, like yoga and stuff. I would make these a little bit smaller. Make this CTA button a little bit smaller. And I don't really think we need all of the like animating with like this arrow moving over. It's a little bit distracting almost. Yeah. And I guess I just want more context about what the app is about. Because like pubs, let's see, pubs, plants, and I'm not pausing it, it just pauses. Pubs, plants, and petals. I'm just not sure like how they're going together. So just more context on that one would be nice.
Yeah, you selected some nice engaging images here. Like that a lot. Yeah, but I think I just want to know what I'm getting enticed. Like, yeah, I want that beer right now, but what's happening on here? I'm not really quite sure. Right. So maybe some more context.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Let's look at this one. Let's see who this is by. Okay, so this is a clicking one. Welcome to MDS. So access and share your documents and photos anywhere on any device. Again, we've got a little carousel here. And click next. Yeah, the arrow here again is a little bit distracting for me. So we've got photos, sign in. One thing I would say on this is there seems to be a lot of call to actions here. Like, do I click next, or do I sign in, or do I create an account, or do I click this little button? So I think I would leave these out until we're done with the onboarding personally, so I can get a sense of what the app is about. And now, since we're done with all of those, now I would just see these. But I wouldn't share sign in and no account on these previous screens. Just too much going on at one time.
Yeah, I think that like I've seen this sort of design, where you have a little onboarding in the sign up, sign in screen quite often. And I think that to Andrea's point, the previous screen where there's a big red button, the CTA is usually typically not to learn next. It's usually to sign up. And if you want to learn more about the app as you're, if you're on here, you can go ahead and click through and you can have those little indications that, what onboarding screen are you in. But it does feel very prominent, and there is like my eyes kind of not really sure what to do. But typically sign up is the call to action on these screens, and the other things I would just remove the next. People know to scroll or to click the other little indication there. But I do love that you made it really clear as to what this product is. You have really great use of subtext to like explain things, especially on that first screen. Like I understood what this product was. Like, welcome to MDS, nice welcoming language. This is what you do here. Swipe to learn more. Great. So because you have that like swipe to learn more, or maybe we find that most people already kind of understand that, you don't need the next piece. But I do love the illustrations being used here. And again, like really is like unique and interesting and really looks cool. And I'm like, oh, I want to learn more about it.
Yeah.
So great job.
Awesome. All right. Maybe we have time for like one or two more. We'll keep scrolling. Okay.
Oh, I want that one.
So yeah, this one's neat. This one's by Olya. Looks like a GIF. I can't really click anywhere in here. Or maybe if I open original, let's see. Okay, so track your running. We do have some lorem ipsum text here, which I try to stay away from lorem ipsum, even if it's just a mock-up, just so, it feels more finished and I actually can read what is going to be on this page and like what the app is actually about. But I do get in general that this is like a health app. we're talking about getting in shape, and we've got these cute little illustrations. I actually love that they're moving. Like this girl's
Love it.
floating. That's so cute.
Yeah, this animation is so cool.
Yeah.
Love these. And I love that each one has its own little color concept. There's the
Mhm.
blue and then the bright pink.
Yeah.
It's very engaging and friendly and makes me feel good and calm and ready to work out.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, love it. And I like also you have a skip button. Like I don't have to look at this. Most people actually I've found do not like onboarding. They prefer to skip onboarding. So I like that you have an exit opportunity because maybe I already know about your app, or oftentimes people want to learn about your app through actually acting and
trying it out
and trying it out versus looking at the onboarding. So I love that you have that capability.
Yeah, I agree. Lovely job on this one. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. All right, maybe just like one more. Trying to find like a one from today. Let's see. Maybe this was yesterday. Okay. Let's see. Any jumping out at you?
Oh, are these all from today?
It says today, but it doesn't seem like they're fitness ones. So maybe they were actually from tomorrow. I'm not sure. All right, let's check out this one. This one is by Harish. Write and share your blogs. Create your community. Yeah, I like how a lot of these are like interactive with the illustration. But again, like this one, it seems like it's when the mouse is hovering over each of the illustrations that something happens. So, if this is an iPhone, which it looks like it is, that wouldn't really be possible. So I would just make that, a GIF or something so you don't have to scroll over it. And yeah, same feedback that I gave on the last one. Like this little CTA button down here that's animating is a little distracting for me. I just want to know, what is in that text, so I'm not like accidentally clicking somewhere that I don't want to go. I would say I would remove this play icon, or to me that means play. It seems like, oh, okay. It's like next. Normally the next button is just like the little arrow, but not filled in. So I would just make sure you have that distinction. But other than that, I like the illustrations. Very playful, cute. I get that it's about like writing a blog. We've got some girl that's like typing on a laptop up here.
Yeah, great job. Yeah, just the play button is throwing me off as well in the hover, but looks good.
Awesome. All right. Well,
also, someone asked over here in the chat, Andrea and Elizé, how do you feel about onboarding and illustrations, each being a different color for each section?
Oh, I think that's fine. So like the previous one where it's like blue on one page and then purple on another and pink on another onboarding page, I guess they're asking. I think that's totally fine. Yeah. As long as they're cohesive and they kind of go together. It's like a color theme.
Yeah, I think so as well. Because especially it depends probably on your own branding. Like Google does this a lot with theirs, different color for each sort of onboarding step I've seen. So if your branding is all black and white, like it may be weird if suddenly you have different colors for every single onboarding screen. So you kind of have to figure out what works well with your own brand.
Yeah.
When you start to play around with it. But in context of just an onboarding screen like we saw, totally cool. Looks great.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I might hop on over to you if you have anything else that you want to wrap up. We've only got a few more minutes left before the end of this stream. And don't go anywhere, everyone, because in about 5 minutes, we're going to have the XD, or I guess like 7 minutes, we have the XD Daily Creative Challenge right after this with Jesse. All right, you got yours pulled up. I'm going to stop sharing. All right. So I guess if you want to just give us an overview kind of what you did today and yesterday and yeah.
So thank you guys so much for being with me and helping me I took your feedback, even in the design process, helping me create these quick prototypes using UI kits. Now, again, if you're still like, wait, I'm confused, how do I use a UI kit? Just start going into one, start downloading some, and have an idea first for what your product is before you start grabbing other people's UI kits. You want to have a concept of your own and just start to sketch it out so you understand what are you looking for. Do you have more of a dashboard? Like someone just asked me, hey, I'm creating a new dashboard. What do I do? I'm like, go and look for a dashboard UI kit. Literally just type that into Google and you can find some stuff. So have a concept and grab some other people's designs and start breaking it down and understanding what you can learn from these other designers who've created these amazing kits for everyone to use. It's such a I really applaud people who do that, and I'm really grateful to those designers that do that. So so as far as wrapping this all up again, so we did the sketches, we went and got a UI kit, we created a prototype and we shared it. So we talked a little bit about how to share with other developers, how to share for user testing, etc. And if you want more information, please just go on to my Instagram, Elizé UX. I put out content weekly on how to improve your UX skills. And I think a lot about how to help people get jobs. And so that's a lot of my content there. So if you liked what you saw these last few hours and the last couple of days, please join me. I'm happy to connect with you after this.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Elizé. This was such an awesome stream. I love this. Hope you guys in the chat learned something new. That is about all the time that we have left for today. So thanks guys for joining, and don't go anywhere because in about 5 minutes, we've got our XD Daily Creative Challenge with Jessie. So thanks everyone. And thank you, Elizé, for joining us.
Thanks, Andrea.
Bye guys.